If you've ever been on a plane, you know that the flight crew always says to put your own oxygen mask first. That's because we can't help others if we're not well enough to help. So, why not approach everything else in life the same way? Why do we choose others instead of taking the break we so deserve? I've felt guilty about rest far too many times, and I don't want to feel that way anymore. I've changed my approach, and now I have many rest days where I'm guilt free. I've had to learn the lessons the hard way, so I want to share some tips with you. First, let's explore why we feel guilty in the first place. You want to take a break, but something is pressing, and chances are you already needed the break by the time you wanted to take it. There are many reasons for feeling guilty about rest: overcommitting ourselves, people pleasing and choosing others first, or even internal pressure. A few years ago, I found seats to the Legend of Zelda Orchestra, and while I didn't play the game, my friend was the biggest fan and I found the soundtrack quite wonderful. I had the song stuck in my head a few times, so I booked a short trip to Madrid and off we went. I'd never been to the city before and I heard lovely things about the place: delicious churros dipped in hot chocolate, the famous omelette, tortillas de patatas, and the quality of life that the locals had. I was so excited to share these days and immerse ourselves in the culture, but for 3 out of our 5 vacation days, my friends stayed at the hotel, working and slaving away. I thought to myself, simmering in resentment, what is life if not to live? What is so important that it couldn't wait? A few years later, I found myself in a similar situation, and I was deep in misery, working to meet deadlines while sick with the flu and full blown symptoms. I didn't understand why I was miserable, but looking back, it was because I compromised on myself too much. I blamed my peers for not fostering a supportive workplace culture, but I didn't look internally and realize my part in that. I placed more importance on a few deliverables above my own health and sanity. I allowed others to cross my boundaries instead of speaking up about what truly mattered. But what I find more difficult than work are moments where we need rest not only from the people we love and care about, but from being there for them. Saying no or pressing pause feels a lot like letting friends or family down. Maybe it's a cultural thing or some other societal upbringing, but to me, voicing out that I need some time to rest or to be alone often feels downright selfish. And guilt doesn't even need to come from a major event. Sometimes I catch myself feeling guilty about not responding to a text right away. It's urgency culture silently creeping into and dominating our lives. Perhaps the hardest part about rest is myself. I'm a person with dreams. Whether it's fitness or financial, it can feel like there's either never enough time or no time to waste. So taking a break feels like self sabotage. There were days where I felt like I needed to skip that gym day, but I pushed myself and felt even more unhappy after, and was without energy for days. I didn't indulge in the break because I felt like I was letting myself down, that I was not disciplined enough, that I was slowing the progress. I thought I was getting in the way of myself. The fact that I see rest as an indulgence and not as a necessity, it says so much. We all want results, and I admit, sometimes it's hard not to want to see them as soon as possible. All of this guilt led me to neglecting myself and deprioritizing my self care. As for my friend, I spent most of the trip exploring Madrid on my own, in a way, feeling like our time together wasn't as important. Needless to say, we don't go on trips together anymore. Stress laxing is the hardest part. The feeling of you're resting, but you're not really resting because you're thinking about all the things that need to be done. So, resting leads to even more stress because you're delaying on addressing said stressors. But what if fully embracing rest turned you into a happier, more productive, and creative person? I've learned to take breaks during the day and sometimes even dedicate an entire day to rest. And I can say that it's changed me for the better. That pushing back and choosing myself first also taught others around me that they could do the same. We can talk about the root of people pleasing for hours, but I notice that people who are compassionate generally have a hard time choosing themselves first. I've learned to pause and ask myself, are you really letting others down or are you projecting how they might react? And if they do feel let down, then what does their reaction tell you about your relationship? These interactions led me to reevaluate friendships because the right people in your life, they would understand your needs and support you. There's a saying in German that goes, Angst macht den Wolf größer als ist, that fear makes the wolf bigger than it is. There are times when I don't want to take time off because of the pressure I feel, sometimes self imposed, and the fear of what would happen if I didn't continue doing what I was doing. But I think to myself, is the deadline really a deadline? Is the need really a necessity? In most cases, they are not as urgent as they may seem. And if they were, they're mostly not even important. Why do we have that tendency to treat others around us with love and kindness, but not treat ourselves with the same level and regard? It's so much easier to tell someone to go take a break than to do that very thing. There's a difference between loving yourself and being selfish. I've learned that it's easier to be there for others when I feel balanced. It's okay to do nothing once in a while, to just be and to simply exist. It doesn't equate to laziness. Rest is productive, it's regenerative, and it's good for you. Even pro athletes give their bodies time to rest as part of maintaining high performance. Slowing down and taking a break helps us become more productive in the long term. Scheduling breaks is one of the best ways to not feel guilty about rest. If it's planned way ahead of time, people will more likely respect it. But I also acknowledge that this requires being strict with it and not compromising yourself when push comes to shove. If all else fails, talk to somebody. Sometimes it's enough to just tell others how you feel or to ask for help. I've unlearned the habit of doing it all myself, and I've been positively surprised about how others responded and stepped in to support me. While we can look internally, a lot of us feel guilty about rest because of what our society values. The hyperproductive, mega on top of it, always on, fast paced lifestyle seem to get the results or the praise and promotion. On top, we have destructive phrases like saying, sleep is for the weak, or I'll sleep when I'm dead. I was always bothered whenever I heard those phrases from friends or colleagues because it made me feel even guiltier about having my healthy 8 hours of sleep each night. Nowadays, I enjoy my big and little periods of rest. I admit that I saw moments where it's not naturally as easy to me, but knowing why I want to do it and who I'm doing it for helps me to keep working on the habit of embracing these much needed moments. We can change societal norms and start embracing rest as a necessary and healthy part of our lives, starting with the next break you take. What are the reasons why you feel guilty about rest, and do you have other tips to manage it? If you're comfortable, please share it in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And remember, you are enough. You are not your productivity. Thank you for being here, and as always, I wish you a cozy and calm day.